Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to return to Poland and continue on with the Polish beer month that I'm filming for you across the month of May. So we're going to go once again to Produkty Benedyktynskie, who are from Tyniec, which is an area in Krakow in the south of Poland, and we're going to try another one of these Polish monastic beers. It should be quite nice. The other two I had, the Produkty and the Untappd, were very nice. So for this one we're going to try the Tynickie, and I'm not sure exactly what style this beer is because there's no rate beer profile for it. My Polish flatmate who grew up in Germany tells me that Jasna Pelne is actually somewhat similar to a sort of German style Helles beer, so I'm expecting something like that. But the brewery website, or the monastery website I should say, in their shop they say it's a lager beer, so it should be something kind of somewhere in between a kind of maybe somewhere in between like a Dortmunder Helles with a bit more hoppy flavour and the Munich Helles, which is a bit more bready from memories, but it should be nice nonetheless. The other two beers I had from these guys, as I said, were very good, so I'm sure this one will be nice as well. But thank you as well to Robert for buying me this beer, and also to Dominika, my good friend, and his cousin, who brought this one back to Sweden for me. Much appreciated, guys. Thank you for giving me these beers to review on the channel. I hope you guys enjoy the videos. But as always, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery and the monastery in this case. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the description below. That's the Produkty Benedyktynskie website. Do go and check that out. It tells you a bit about the monastery and all the different food things that we do down there. There is a link to my other reviews from these guys as well, so do check those out. And there's all the usual social media, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd. Please follow me on there. Your support would be much appreciated, and if you do want to see more beer reviews, just subscribe to the channel. And I will apologise in advance for the bad Polish pronunciations in this video. As I've said many a time, Polish is probably one of the most difficult languages to pronounce. It sounds absolutely nothing like it looks, and I have to admit a great respect for people who go and learn Polish without it being their mother tongue. One of the most difficult languages you're going to find, actually. But anyway, to tell you about Produkty Benedyktynskie. So this company, as I've mentioned to you before, is associated with the Tyniec Benedictine Monastery in Krakow. And Tyniec actually used to be a separate village, but it's been part of Krakow officially since 1973. But the abbey is thought to have been found by King Casimir the Restorer in 1044, and it's located on the right bank of the Vistula River, about 12 kilometres to the southwest of Krakow city centre. But in ancient times it was actually an important trade stop on the routes from Krakow to Moravia and to Bohemia. But the monastery was started up by the Benedictines after an invitation from the King of Poland, who essentially wanted to shore up the position of church and state. But apparently some historians will also argue that the monastery was in fact founded by Casimir's son Boleslav II, who was known as the Generous. But the abbey buildings have been remodelled because they were destroyed during several raids throughout its history. This included the raids of the Tatars, the Czechs, and then during the Swedish invasion of Poland in the 30 Years' War, and also during the Bar Confederation, which was when the Polish resisted Russification during a period known as the Deluge. But the abbey itself was actually dissolved by the Austro-Hungarian Empire in 1816, but it was actually part of the seat of the Bishop of Tyniec, Grzegorz Ziegler, from 1821 to 1826. But despite this, the monks never returned to the monastery until 1939, and then they began to renovate the monastery in 1947. But in 1968, the church was once again dedicated to Peter and Paul, and the renovated buildings are largely of Baroque style, but there's also some kind of Gothic architecture there as well. And today the monastery apparently is the oldest one in Poland that is still operating, and as part of their current operations to basically cover their costs, they produce several different herbs, foods, drinks and cosmetics. Apparently there's a bit of a history with this monastery of a sort of hospital, if you like. So they had a herb garden where they used to grow medicinal herbs like rosemary and things like that and give them to the patients in the hospital. But these days they're also producing cider, wine, liqueurs, beer, vodka and mead. So I really want to get some of the meads to try, and if I do get one I will review it on the channel for you. But yeah, these guys are producing some really nice stuff. As I said, I've reviewed some of the other beers for you before, and they were really nice. So just to list these for you, there was the Opata, which was a nice sort of Viennese lager style beer. There's the Produkty, which was a sort of German style Dunkel. That was very nice as well. There's this guy here, the Tynickie, which is a sort of Helles beer, I think. And there's also the Benedyktynskie one as well. And I'm not sure exactly what type of beer that is, but hopefully I can get it in the future for you and review it. But they've got the 4 different beers there, so if you get the chance I would recommend that you try them. They are quite nice, and of course Polish monastic beer is a little bit of a novelty. But all of these beers are actually brewed at Brower Furman, which is in Polchensdroy, which is somewhere between Gdansk and Szczecin actually. So Krakow is away in the south of Poland, but these beers are actually brewed up in the northwest, which is a little bit unusual. My friend Dominika and her cousin Robert are actually from Gdansk, which was, I thought this monastery would be up there somewhere when they gave me these beers. But apparently the monastery's in Krakow, and they brew their beers in this little place called Produkty Benedyktynskie. Apologies if the pronunciation isn't quite right. But let's get stuck into this beer then. As I said, I'm not sure exactly of the style of this one, but I'll just bring up the camera and let you see the artwork. You can see the nice picture of the monastery on this one. As I said, the Tynickie beer. So I think it will be something like a kind of somewhere between a Munich and a Dortmund style Helles beer. This one, Jasny Pełna, of course. My flatmate Matthias, or Mateusz as his name would be in Polish, tells me that this is somewhat akin to a Helles beer. But on the website, it does say that it's a lager one. But nicely presented. You can see this nice foily coloured top on it there. It tells you a little bit about the monastery and things on the back in Polish. I'm not going to attempt to read that because my Polish pronunciation is pretty illegible, I guess you would say. But let's get stuck into this beer. So as I say, a 6% beer, something probably akin to a lager and a Helles. This is Tynickie from Produkty Benedyktynskie in Tyniec in Krakow in Poland. So we'll get it open. As you can see, nice smoky opening there. It actually smells quite bready on the opening, so that makes me think perhaps maybe a Munich style Helles, this one. But as you start to pour it, it does definitely smell more sort of lagery, I would say. It's got some of that kind of sweet, sort of corny, biscuity malt in this one. So yeah, as you can see, this beer has poured a crystal clear, kind of orangey amber colour. There's some nice big bubbles sticking to the side of the glass, quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there, and there's about a third of a finger of a frothy white head. That's just going to fade away and be a very thin foamy layer now though, but it looks very nice. As you can see, the beer does have some transparency to it. It is quite see-through, but it looks very, very nice. It looks definitely like a lager beer, this one, rather than a Helles or something. Helles, from what I remember, is usually quite a bright yellow colour, whereas this is more like a kind of lagerish amber colour. So in terms of the aroma with this one, yeah, it does smell like quite a sort of malty lager, to be honest with you. There's some sweet sort of corny biscuity malt in there. You can get the bread base in there as well, some nice white bread, probably some Pilsner or Munich malts in here, but there's probably Polish malt in there as well actually. Yeah, you can smell the nice grassy hops, slightly floral and aromatic. There's just a little hint of that kind of earthy character that you sometimes get. But it does smell quite sweet. There isn't a hint of caramel in this one, but it's quite biscuity. There's a bit of graininess in there as well, but you're getting some of these slightly corny malts that you would expect from the lager. It looks a very nice beer, but when you sugar it up a bit, you start to get more of the malty sweetness, that kind of corny, almost biscuity, syrupy character in this one. It has got a nice aroma to it. The hoppy character in this one is just quite nice and mild, quite grassy, just a little bit floral, and just a little tiny bit of earthiness to it as well. It looks really, really nice. It smells really, really nice. So yeah, as I always say, give your beers a little bit of a smell before you actually get stuck into this one. Or before you get stuck into them, I should say. But yeah, this one's quite malt forward, bready, caramelly, a bit of biscuit, a bit of cereal and things. Smells really nice, but some nice grassy and slightly floral hop coming out of this one. A little bit earthy, typical kind of noble hop aromas actually. So do give it a bit of a smell before you get stuck in. But this is the Tynickie from Produkty Benedyktynskie in Tyniec, Krakow, Poland. Let's get stuck into this beer. Na zdrowie. Yeah, this beer, it's definitely a lager beer, there's no doubt about that. I don't think it really fits the character of Helles beer. I don't think it's not hoppy enough for a Helles beer, and it's not bready enough. This is definitely a lager beer. It's not even kind of like a Pils either. It's definitely specifically a lager beer, this. So for once, Google Translate was actually right when it comes to Polish. Google Translate is terrible at Polish. It's actually very good at Swedish, I find, but it's bad when it comes to Polish. but it was right in this instance. This beer is definitely a lager beer. And at 6% actually, when this is a kind of sort of Germany style beer actually, or German beer, 6% is actually on the heavy side for some of these styles. Usually most German beers are about between 4 and 5% actually. But yeah, I mean, this beer isn't as big in flavour as the other two that I've had, the Bajora and the Opata. This one's a bit lighter and a bit more drinkable. The others are very good. They're you know, the drinkability of a beer isn't necessarily a measure of goodness, but this is a light, kind of sessionable lager beer. This one, it's got a bit more malty character than, you know, than some of the other lagers you're going to come across. But I would say this one, to me, it isn't quite as enjoyable, for example, as the Opata. If I had the choice between this one and the Opata, I would always choose the Opata because it's just got a bit more flavour, a bit more hop, and a bit more malt to it. This one is more of your kind of standard lager beer. But yeah, the middle of your tongue blanketed with this kind of typical kind of pale malt base. It's not big enough, it's not big in body enough to be bready. It's just a very light kind of blanketing of a pale malt. There is a bit of a grainy cereal character builds on top of that. You can feel a little bit of caramel just down the middle of the tongue. It's not that rich, it is more of that kind of biscuity syrup, digestive biscuits like we have back in Scotland. It's almost like the sweetness that you get from those that you're getting in the middle of your tongue on this one. Yeah, it does taste a little bit like if you toast bread and put butter on it. It does have a little bit of a taste like that in the middle of the palate on this one, but it's not too complex. But then again, lagers are not designed to be all that complex. Apart from, of course, from these kind of craft takes on lager beers that are appearing these days, like Imperial Pils and things like that. Some of those are really good actually. But this beer is actually, I mean, for a lager beer, it's pretty nice, but as always with the lager style, it's nowhere near as complex as some of these other ones you're going to get. And like I said, I would always, if it came to a lighter session beer, I would probably always pick the Opata over this one. But that said, if you like lager beers, you probably will enjoy this one. It's got a bit more of a malt presence than your bog standard lager that you're going to come across. There's a good bit of hoppy character to it as well, but again, nowhere near the levels that you're going to get on some of these kind of craft beer pills. But yeah, around the edge of the palate there's a nice smooth grassy character there. It becomes a bit more floral and aromatic around the front curve of the tongue, or particularly around the front corners. Then it's more smooth and grassy again. But overall, that's all the flavours you're going to get from this beer. As I said, a nice pale malt base that blankets the middle of the tongue, some biscuity and kind of grainy character just on top of that, a bit of richer caramel, not too much, maybe just even a little touch of earthy character in the back corners of the palate. It's the typical kind of noble hop flavours that you're getting. It becomes a little bit smoother and grassier as you come further forward, a little bit drier with some floral aromaticity as well, and smoother around the front curve of the tongue. But overall, it is actually, you know, for a lager beer, it is pretty good. But as I always say, the lager beer isn't your most complex style, but for those of you who want just a nice, light, drinkable, sessionable beer, this one will hit the ticket. As I said though, I would probably go for the Opata a bit more, just because it's got a bit more malt in it and a bit more hop. It's just like a bit more of an amped up version, but if I'm not mistaken, if I just check the bottle of this one, the Opata is actually lower in alcohol than this. This is a 6% beer, whereas the Opata was 5.5%, so that's a little bit surprising. This one's a little bit less complex, but it does have more alcohol in it. And in fairness with this beer, you can actually taste a little bit of the booziness. 6% isn't that much when it comes to alcohol, but if you put the alcohol content up too high in a pils, you will begin to taste it actually, and you can taste it a little bit in this beer. But in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I would say this is a light-bodied beer. You know, there's a little bit of sweetness from the malt. As I said, that kind of biscuity sweetness comes out. The carbonation is a little bit more prickly in this one. It's a bit more of a refreshing character that's out of this beer. There's a nice, slightly oily mouthfeel to it as well, some malty sweetness like I said, and a little bit of hoppy dryness, both at the back of the palate from the earthy flavours and more near the front with the floral aromaticity. But overall, You know, it is, for a lager beer, like I say, it's fairly nice. I would be more tempted to go to the Opata than this one, but if you like a nice sessionable lager beer, it is 6% as well, so it is quite sessionable and it will give you a good little bit of a buzz. It is fairly good. So yeah, it'd been really cool to review this one. As I say, I couldn't find a profile for this beer, but I hope my review is kind of taking you through it fairly well. So this one is the Tynickie from the Produkty Benedyktynskie in the Tyniec monastery in Krakow in Poland. So do go and check them out. As I said, the Pejora and the Opata were very nice. This is good as well if you like lager beers, but not quite as complex as the other two in my opinion. So do go and try their beers. I've quite enjoyed them. Let me know in the comment section below your own thoughts on them. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. Thanks once again to Robert and to Dominika for providing me with this beer, and we will move on to more Polish craft breweries in the next couple of videos. So I hope you're enjoying the Polish Beer Month, and I will catch you soon with my next videos. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out my social media things, but most importantly, go and try some of the Produkty Benedyktynskie beers and get in touch with me and let me know what you think of them. Cheers just now, and I will catch you soon. Na zdrowie. I hope you're enjoying the Polish Beer Month.